Welcome to Fresh Talk News Channel. Today, we delve into the latest news update. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky used the funeral of Pope Francis to launch a diplomatic blitz, aiming to counter a U.S. proposal that would end Russia's war on Ukraine on terms favorable to Moscow. Kyv. President Donald Trump met briefly with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on the sidelines of Pope Francis's funeral on Saturday. This was their first face-to-face encounter since their Oval Office clash back in February. Following the meeting, Trump threatened new sanctions against Russia. Zelensky seized the opportunity at this rare gathering of world leaders in Rome, holding meetings with several European leaders to head off the U.S. proposal that favors Moscow's interests. Meanwhile, Trump took to social media to criticize Russian President Vladimir Putin for recent missile attacks on Ukrainian civilian areas. It marked Trump's second public rebuke of Putin, following a missile strike on an apartment building in Kyiv on Thursday that killed 12 people and injured nearly 90 others. "It makes me think that maybe he doesn't want to stop the war, he's just tapping me along, and has to be dealt with differently, through banking or secondary sanctions," Trump posted on Truth Social. "Too many people are dying." The private, one-on-one conversation between Trump and Zelensky at St. Peter's Basilica took place just before the funeral of a man who had long advocated for a just end to the conflict. This intimate Vatican meeting stood in stark contrast to their chaotic Oval Office meeting, where Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance had berated Zelensky in front of conservative-aligned journalists. "Very symbolic meeting that has potential to become historic if we achieve joint results," Zelensky wrote on X after the meeting. "Thank you, at POTUS." Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha shared a photo of the moment on X, showing Trump and Zelensky sitting knee-to-knee, leaning in close as they spoke. "No words are needed to describe the importance of this historic meeting," Sybiha wrote. Two leaders working for peace in St. Peter's Basilica. The Trump administration is pushing to end the war, which has claimed hundreds of thousands of lives since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, met with Putin for the fourth time on Friday. This month, the United States proposed a final offer. Washington would recognize Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea, acknowledge other territorial gains, and ease sanctions if fighting stopped. The pro-Russian nature of the proposal stunned Ukraine and its European allies. Kyiv insisted on a ceasefire before even discussing territorial concessions. In response, Witkoff and Secretary of State Marco Rubio canceled plans to attend high-level meetings scheduled for Wednesday in London, abruptly downgrading the talks. On Wednesday, Trump commented that he found Russia easier to work with than Zelensky. Just hours later, Russia bombed Kyiv. European nations quickly renewed their support for Ukraine's insistence on a ceasefire. Trump then urged Putin on social media to stop. The White House is working urgently to fulfill Trump's campaign promise to quickly end the war, but meaningful progress remains elusive. Russia, maintaining a military advantage along the front lines, has little incentive to stop fighting. Although both sides agreed in March to refrain from striking each other's energy infrastructure for 30 days, disputes over the start date led to accusations of violations. Putin later unilaterally declared a 30-hour ceasefire for Easter, which Kyiv agreed to mirror. The ceasefire briefly paused airstrikes on Ukrainian cities but only slightly slowed frontline fighting. Russia resumed attacks just after midnight Sunday, ignoring Ukraine's request to extend the truce. European leaders drafted a counterproposal to the U.S. offer, addressing many of Ukraine's key concerns, including the demand for a ceasefire. However, it remains unclear whether Washington will consider this new text. It's also uncertain what documents or ultimatums Steve Witkoff may have presented to Putin during their latest meeting. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov stated Saturday Putin repeated that the Russian side was ready to resume talks without any preconditions. This statement suggests Russia remains unwilling to agree to a full ceasefire ahead of negotiations, a major obstacle to any peace agreement. Despite these challenges, European support for Zelensky was strongly evident on Saturday. Zelensky held face-to-face talks with key allies, including British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Seeing Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky talking about peace at the funeral of the Pope of Peace carries such huge meaning, Meloni posted on X, "Today has been a historic day." Zelensky received a huge round of applause as he arrived at the funeral on Saturday. In addition to Trump and Zelensky's meeting, other top Ukrainian and U.S. officials met around the funeral events. Foreign Minister Sybiha and Andriy Yermak, head of Ukraine's presidential office, held talks with White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles and National Security Advisor Michael Waltz. Grateful for the constructive work, ongoing engagement, and the strong partnership between our countries. We keep moving forward, Yermak wrote. Thanks for watching Fresh Talk News channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more news and updates.